So that's the challenge with that. So verticals is where it's at, and then using the businesses and the relationships you created, for example, property management, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that now gives you more time and the wealth of freedom.
Yeah, it's interesting. You can use these things like flipping or things that aren't necessarily passive, right? Where that capital's going to die whenever you stop doing it. You can use those to get off that ledge to get into recurring money or more passive income. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're in the process of doing.
Right. And I don't know if that's the last phase, is that what level that is, but that's definitely just where I'm at. That's the pocket I'm at. And, it gets clearer when you clear out some of that time and now you got some businesses running. It kind of lets you know what the next step is.
I think at some point, or at least I like to think at some point, there's more of an enjoyment phase. Like, meaning there's a lot of grind and a lot of hard work and a lot of stress and a lot of liability and a lot of everything to build. And I think once you're transitioning from, I'll call it the less passive, the job phase, where like you got to create the next flip and you got to do all this stuff, right? Once you're transitioning from that to more passive, to more, the systems are built, things are operating, it's less of your time, it's less of your stress, less of your energy. I feel like there's got to be, I haven't reached it yet, there's got to be a point where you can just start enjoying it. Meaning, like, you could start doing passion projects, you could start really like maybe taking risks in things that you're passionate about, or things that give back to the community, or things that, and I feel like I'm getting somewhat close to that, because my brain is starting to tell me that, like, we have a really strong team at Peak now. And there's other things that, like, hurdles we've gotten over and other things that we've accomplished with investments and other things like that, where I feel like I'm really, and I'm almost scared to say it, but I'm really close to that enjoyment phase, to where I could start doing things that I'm more passionate about, and more things that, that I only have to work in if I want to work in, and things like that. And this podcast is part of that. Like, it allows some of the time to do it. But I think going through that transition of being less passive to more passive, and then there's some less, I think maybe people like me and you don't really care if we grind forever, but there's some, I don't know that we want to, that we want to have to. Right. And so there's got to be some enjoyment phase that comes out of it, where you can still build, you can still grow, you can still accomplish, you can still make an impact, but you're actually enjoying it and you're not killing yourself over it.
I think we've probably all had that conversation with ourselves, right? Socially, are we giving our families the attention they need? Are we giving our bodies the attention they need? Right. Do we have balance? Because everybody's like, you work too hard, you're doing too much. What about this? What about your health? What about, your retirement? What are you going to do when you retire? And we're not built that way. And we try to conform, kind of like when I was in special ed, I felt I was different. I'm still in special ed.
Yeah, right.
But now special ed pays. Right? So I've learned to embrace my special edness.